Here we are on YouTube now. Hello. It's okay. Welcome. On in. No, we're just here just a minute, so we're good to go.
Oh, here comes Brad. It's okay, we understand about
Yeah.
fairies.
Yes, hi, Brad.
Funny, you're at a very understanding crowd. Join us at the table. The rest of us are- But you'll have to bring your own chair.
I'm quite fine sitting back, but if you.
Yeah, well, we want to have a round table kind of effect. Thank you.
Yeah, so we are just perfectly on time. Great. And we are good to go.
Okay. Did anyone want to approve the agenda, or is there anything that needs to be added before we do that?
I have no late items.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve. I'm saying.
Thank you. And the minutes from last meeting, hopefully fresh in our minds, because that wasn't that long ago. Thank you, Sue Ellen.
Just the part about the San Juan County, you could just strike that part. It's minor and it's not
Okay.
right. So it's fine.
What page? Or
Uh,
I can find it. It's
yeah,
okay.
it's just, if you just strike that little part.
Sure.
It's just that Islands Trust has some kind of arrangement with
Okay,
with San Juan County. It's not exactly as described. It's not.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. As amended then?
Yeah.
Approve the minutes as amended?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Seconded. Thanks.
We did some introductions before you got here. Did you want to do any more? Do you know, I was actually embarrassing because they all know each other, but I actually do it anyways.
Sure.
Okay. So, but I'm gonna let you do it this time because I already embarrassed myself.
Okay.
And we have people on ESS, Janine, and Steve from IFRAM and Steve Edwards.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Do we mind just quickly going around the room and introducing ourselves? I'll start with Keith. Hi, Keith.
Sorry?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, so no one knows me? I coordinate the emergency communications team. Lived on Bowen for 30+ years. Also a member of Lions Bay Search and Rescue Team, but semi-retired from that. I do the paperwork. Don't go out in the field anymore. There's lots of young people. What else? I'm retired myself. An ex-electrical engineer. And now I spend the time on Bowen trails and helping out.
Okay, thanks for being here. Who was between Keith and Aaron?
Gail.
Oh, okay, Gail will be back. Aaron?
Yes, I'm Aaron Hannon, the fire chief here on the island.
I'm Sue Ellen Fast. I'm currently one of the counselors and one of the Islands Trust trustees, and I also see people on the trails.
Mm-hmm.
I am Jess Taylor, emergency program coordinator.
My name's Jennifer McGowan. I'm chair of the committee and longtime island resident.
I'm Steph Short, the deputy government officer and committee coordinator.
Councillor Alison Morris, member of council.
Edward Walkman, lead coordinator of NERP.
Councillor John Saunders.
I'm Kristen Watson. I'm the CFO and acting CAO.
And then online,
And Brad.
And Brad.
oh, sorry, Brad.
Yeah.
He's right, you're right, he's right there.
Brad Savage, Bone Islander, CP.
Apologies.
And then we have
Oh,
Janine.
Okay, we'll start with you, Janine.
I'm Janine Zolkowski, an ESS volunteer fulfilling the role of logistics section chief, which includes the branches of resource acquisition, ESS technology platform support, and volunteer management.
Thanks, Janine. Let's move over to IPREM.
Do Steve and then
Oh,
I
sorry,
will present.
Steve, and then we'll jump into the IPREM presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Edwards, and I am the Fire Smart Program Coordinator here on the island.
Excellent. And I don't see any members of the public
No
here, so
public.
we'll skip through item number 3 and jump to 4, our IPREM delegation. Thank you so much for being here. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Thank you, and thanks for the invitation. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Caroline Murner, one of our 3 senior project managers with IPREM, which is the Integrated Partnership for Regional Emergency Management. So I'll pass it to my team.
I'll jump in here. I'm Anna Kellerman. I'm also a senior project manager, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. My name's Leanne Black, and I'm the 3rd senior project manager with the IPREM team. Back to you, Caroline.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll take us away into our presentation. I'll just share my screen and hope that you can see it here. So if you could just give me a thumbs up if you can see it here. Can you see it okay? Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, it's great to be invited. We had a chance to present to Kieran as he was joining the steering committee, and we were invited to share a little bit more about the Integrated Partnership for Regional Emergency Management. And as you know, we serve Bowen Island as part of the communities of the Metro Vancouver Regional District. I want to begin by acknowledging the land that we operate and do our regional emergency planning initiatives on. This is the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the 10 First Nations, the Katzie, the Kwantlen, the Coquitlam, the Matski, the Musqueam, the Kikite, the Semiahmoo, the Squamish, the Tsawwassen, and Tsleil-Waututh. And so we've had an opportunity recently to gather First Nations in the region through an open house and learning about priorities from the nations on regional emergency management planning. And we're working as part of IPREM to continue to foster these good relationships with the nations who've been stewards since time immemorial in these lands. About IPREM, we want to just introduce to folks who are not familiar with us. We are a 50-50 partnership between the province of BC and the Metro Vancouver Regional District on behalf of the member municipalities. So 21 municipalities, 1 Treaty First Nation, and 1 electoral area. We work towards a disaster resilient region and play mostly a regional planning capacity, so no response role. We work with all levels of government and partners, and yes, as we said, we work with in a regional emergency management planning capacity. I'll just go back here to share that we have a policy group that guides our work and approves our annual plans. We have a steering committee composed of 4 members from provincial representation and 4 municipal representation from local government, and then 4 ex officio members that you can see here. And then you've just met us, the project support team. This is the strategic plan that guides our work. And so as we implement the vision towards a disaster resilient region, we're guided by 3 main streams. I'll briefly touch on them, and then just to say that our projects that we lead every year align with the strategic plan. And so understanding and sharing regional emergency management planning initiatives, strengthening coordinated and integrated regional emergency planning, and cultivating IPREM as an effective, sustainable team, mostly focused on governance here. But we work together to implement this vision. Some of the highlights from our past projects that you may have heard of are the Disaster Debris Management Framework, which is an operational framework to collaborate and coordinate the efforts, resources, and communications specific to disaster debris. And that would have been before any of our times. And so something that we are still familiarizing ourselves with, but is still an ongoing framework relevant to the region. The Natural Gas Shortfall Framework, this again is aimed for local and provincial government representatives to develop a plan to address natural gas shortfall. The Regional Emergency Communications Strategy. This one is an updated strategy from one in 2014 and was just updated last year for coordination with emergency management communicators, practitioners, and regional partners to coordinate around public messaging during multi-jurisdictional and regional emergencies. We run every year, typically, an annual exercise that supports validating some of our emergency management plans, programs, and processes. And then we also have the Regional Decision-Making for Emergencies model. And this one gathers local CAOs and provincial representatives to collaborate on decisions, to confirm regional priorities, and coordinate resources across the region for a regional emergency event of significance. And so we were glad to have Karen representing from Bowen Island at our table when we ran the exercise last in February. And then some of these are past projects, and then I'll share some of the current initiatives that we're working on. And so this decision-making model, we exercise it frequently, and that's an ongoing one. The communication strategy has now shifted towards an implementation stage, and we run quarterly calls for communication practitioners to develop training, networking, and opportunities for practicing communications. We have an internal strategy for First Nations engagement that is underway right now, and this is to continue building relationships and identifying priority areas for engagement in emergency planning. We are developing a regional evacuation exercise and leading that into a longer-term project. We have in the fall a regional forum focused on risk assessment to align with the provincial framework that was recently released. And then finally, we have the temporary provision for drinking water project, which focuses on a distribution plan for drinking water in the case of a regional or multi-jurisdictional emergency. So that is all the current projects that we're working on, and now I'd like to wrap up with sharing some of our forecasted priorities for next year. So these are to initiate the development of the regional evacuation plan. We are supporting the region with a revision of the Regional Public Works Mutual Aid Agreement. This came out of our exercise most recently with CAOs. The Metro Vancouver Regional District has a mutual aid agreement that will be updated to make it most applicable to emergency management planning. And then conducting a validation exercise on the communication strategy and making sure all communities feel up to date and prepared to use it when needed. And conducting an exercise on the decision-making model for emergencies, running a new forum on a new topic, and every year we gather input from municipalities and First Nations on their priority issue for the year to focus on, and to conduct 4 community of practice spotlight sessions on different innovative emergency management practices. And so we always welcome input if anyone has any feedback or thoughts about how we, about the ones we focus on. But yeah, those are our initiatives that we are going to be focusing on next year. And would love to open up the floor as we wrap up to ask any questions on any of our past, current, or future projects. Thanks very much, you all, for the opportunity to present on IPREM, and yeah, we'd love to hear if you have any questions for us.
I would ask about the updating the Public Works Mutual Aid. So is that's a proposed, you might be taking that on next year?
Yes, we've been approved by our steering committee to start the work this year. We are going to be updating the language there. It was typically geared towards public works, and we'll be tailoring some of the language to broaden it out to emergency management. I'll invite my colleagues if they wanted to chime in on that. Leanne, I know that you've been behind that work as part of the CAO exercise.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. So it was actually a topic that was explored during that exercise Caroline mentioned back in February that we held. The way that some of the language in the mutual aid agreement read didn't make it explicit to be applicable to all emergencies across the Metro Vancouver region that might be experienced. There was some feedback that some felt it was more specific to public works, as is in the name. But it was clarified that the intent was that it was actually supposed to be able to be used for all emergencies. So there'll be some revisions going into that to make it more open to be used for all emergencies, as well as some changes potentially to compensation. The work will actually be led by the Metro Vancouver Regional District, and IPREM will just be kind of supporting the revision with their direction.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. I recognize that this is, it's right in your name, regional. So, but having said that, regional, I just went blank, sharing, like we were just talking, the program that we were just discussing there. Like resource sharing in the event of emergency, that's great on a regional level. However, if we have, I'm just curious this may be beyond your scope, but I'm wondering if there's anything in place or any planning in place. If we have a major earthquake here, everybody's going to need everything. And so mutual aid is going to be a kind of minimal value in terms of what we can share with Vancouver and they can share with Coquitlam and things like that. We're going to have to get outside the region itself because the entire region will be affected. So I don't know if that's in your brief to address that or not, but is it being addressed? Mutual aid from outside the region.
Yeah, this is a good question, and we mostly focus on planning for emergency management. So I will say that in terms of coordinating a response, our team won't necessarily be involved. It depends if it is handled between municipalities. We can support with with guides and the strategies that we have around decision making. Model is to support communities between CAOs to call for initiating during a regional or multi-jurisdictional event, and then the communication strategy, which supports these communities to coordinate the public messaging around an event like that. But typically with an earthquake, the province would get involved, and I would defer to my colleagues who have a little bit more understanding of that process. But yeah, my expectation around an earthquake would be that it would escalate to the province. Leanne?
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. So for this mutual aid agreement specifically, it is just with the member jurisdictions of the Metro Vancouver Regional District. But to Caroline's point, if there was a major event like that impacted the whole region, the Provincial Regional Emergency Operations Center, so the South Coast PREOC, would be activated to support response, and then likely the Provincial Emergency Coordination Center as well out of Victoria. So those two groups would step in to support. And if there was any things like resources, supplies, they would likely be the ones that would help to step in to manage that, outside of if local governments had their own mutual aid agreements with communities outside of the district, the regional district.
Thanks.
Edward? I'm curious, John, tweaked the thought in my head. How does a small island community fit in to this overall regional plan?
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, a lot of the work you do, we aren't really involved in, like we don't use your water system. We don't share borders where wildfires can jump from one community to the other. There's other projects that really don't impact us, like the work around natural gas, etc. We don't have natural gas here. So yeah, continuing sort of on that thread.
Yeah, so I think just to clarify the point about water, with IPREM, we're not actually Metro Vancouver Regional District or the province. We're kind of an autonomous organization that's funded by both. So as the Metro Vancouver Regional District pays into IPREM, that's why we support the communities that make up the regional district. With our plannings, we invite all communities that are part of the regional district or of the region, and then also other partners who aren't, as we know emergencies aren't going to just stay within boundaries. So there are going to be areas where things cross over. So we try to be inclusive of everyone. So we have invited Bowen Island to our events to provide feedback, and we welcome any feedback that you have that could be built into our plans as we work through the different topics and things that we are planning for.
And I'll just add to that to say that we've been lucky to have folks from Bowen Island come to our exercises. Most recently, we had, I believe, Tess Taylor and Janet Assia come to our communications exercise, and this one was practicing coordination calls to, you know, in a situation of emergency, how can neighboring jurisdictions support each other, and that might be a situation that would be relevant for Bowen, seeking support from neighboring municipalities, even if it's a ferry ride away. And so recognize that we want to make those services accessible to all communities, to build those relationships before needing to call on each other.
Allison, did you?
Ed asked the question.
Okay. Anyone else have questions or feedback for IPRM? I think that's it. Thank you all so much for being here and taking the time to present to us today. It's appreciated.
Thank
Great,
you.
for sure. And thanks for the opportunity. Great to meet you folks. And if you think of any other questions too, we've been in touch with Steph and would be welcome anything by email too. And great to start that relationship with you all. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, moving swiftly along to item number 5, council referral regarding the proposal to create an official drone group. So my understanding is this was a letter was received to council from a member of the public making this suggestion, and council has referred it to this committee. I'll turn it over to Aaron for more commentary.
Yeah, so I reached out to, I guess, someone I'd consider an expert in drones, and he was able to provide some good feedback, I think, in the letter attached here. Some of the interesting info, I think, is that on Bowen Island, we aren't allowed to operate drones beyond visual line of sight, so that, you know, limits some of what might be suggested. I think it's Peter's letter there saying that we, you know, might be able to deliver different things or do different things. I think it's still something we could look at, but to actually operate a drone and send it to an area that we can't see where the drone's going, you know, that drones that can do that exist. However, we would not be allowed to in the area that we live in because it says or the how many people are in our area. And then costs, of course, are a little bit more than might be alluded to in the original letter. So, yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. Is this the same Keith as is here?
No.
No, different Keith. Okay, because I saw the response back, and thanks for following up. I worked with the letter writer on the library board, and I know he's an aeronautical engineer or something. He's got some experience, and I met him at the volunteer thank you the other night, and he was sort of saying, you know, some of that stuff is probably not practical for Bowen, but the simple things. So in here, you'll see Wildlife Risk Mitigation Plan, Edmonton City Council. So I just put that in there. It's just an article about what the city of Edmonton is doing. They have a River Valley Park system running through the park, and I used to work in it way back like 40 years ago when it was new. And so now they have a drone program that they fly them when the hazard is high, because they're looking at Jasper as a nearby community where bad things happened, and doing some other things too. So I just wanted to flag that since we'd had an offer from the community, and I had just read this article. I don't know if it's practical for here, but I thought when the hazard might be really high in the summer, maybe there's a role for that. And I was just wanted to share these articles and ideas. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely different geography there.
Can I just follow up on the comment that Aaron made about we're not allowed to fly drones?
Right,
I
yes.
know because of the airport, those of us on the south side can't, but I didn't think it applied to the whole island.
It doesn't, that part of it doesn't apply to the whole island. It's just actually a small part of the island that applies to. However, the beyond visual line of sight, so you can fly drones. However, if you can only fly as far as you can physically see the drone,
Okay.
it becomes, you know, it's not as
Not
helpful
as
as it could be in certain
Mhm.
areas.
So is that
And so that rule, actually, I've got it right up in front of me here. The certification, it's restricted to a minimum of 1 kilometer away from a populated area, which is defined as any area with more than 5 people per square kilometer. So Bowen Island, everywhere on Bowen would be considered a populated area, therefore no flying drones further than where you can see them.
Is that a provincial rule or a
That, I believe, is NAV Canada.
now can,
Thank-
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Other discussion on this? Official drone
Got
rule?
one comment I can maybe help with, that I'm reading the other Keys report talking about search and rescue as well. Quite a few of the local search and rescue teams have now got drone capability. So if Bowen did have a search operation, then that resource is available.
Great.
But yeah, they're then going to be restricted and say, well, you can't fly it because it's too near houses or whatever. So
That's right.
it's,
Okay.
they'd know those regulations.
Just also, because they are flying drones in Edmonton, I thought there's probably a way around that. Maybe you need some special plan or approval. And that little article just could point somebody to the report that went to Edmonton City Council, or if anybody wants to follow it up, there's an example of a plan that went through and is being done somehow.
So that is the question. Do we want to follow it up? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so from different communities that I've worked in, there's the commercial side of flying drones that has special licensing and stuff like that can get around that flying within an airport. And that kind of thing, but the problem is privacy, which is why like a park or a riverbed is really easy, because if it's all park owned, there's not a problem. As soon as you have houses in any area whatsoever, and you could potentially be looking in on a house, then that's where NAV Canada's rules are so specific. So the RCMP have drones as well, but there's a ton of stuff that they have to follow and go around, because we can't just throw it up in the air because we want to. So there's a lot of privacy stuff that goes along with that.
So that sounds like if we had a concern about a bit of smoke up in the Crown Lands or something, then maybe we could activate a drone to go and check it out, rather than spending 3 hours hiking in.
You could, the other problem is anything you put in the air, you're responsible for it. So if you don't know what it's going into, either if it falls, if it crashes and hits somebody, then whoever owns it, in this case, the municipality, is on the hook for all damages and all effects that it has on it. So yes, the easy idea is you could throw anything in the air with a camera and look. The backside of that is anything you throw in the air that's robotic won't necessarily work when you need it to, and you're responsible for it and liable.
Can you get a sense from the fire chief? Like, would that be something that you would want for the fire department? How many times would you potentially have used that recently, you know, if at all?
Well, we haven't at all used it,
Like,
and
would have wanted
would
to,
want,
sorry.
yeah, I think, you know, it would be another tool in the toolbox, but I think at this time, I wouldn't fully support it. I think it's something that we would want to look at further down the road, maybe when technologies change or whatever, but I don't think at this time it would be something I would fully support.
And so the letter writer, some of the use cases were search and rescue, which we've, I think, discovered we have access to through other means. Potential fire department use, I'm hearing from the fire chief that that's not currently a priority. Package delivery not possible based on the information you received back from Keith. So I'm sort of struggling with use cases. Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead.
Just, I think we should just draw a line through that recommendation. Or we could pass it, not consider the establishment
at this time.
Of a municipal time, yeah.
Well, because there's been a recommendation from council, I think we have something in the way of
a recommendation.
Okay, I move that the Emergency Program Executive Committee recommend that council not consider the establishment of a municipally supported official drone group at this time, as proposed by a letter from Peter Matthews dated April 13th, 2026.
All in favor?
I'm
Okay.
gonna say discussion ensued in the minutes, so they know we didn't just discuss it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I should have said something else.
No, I'm just laughing. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Minute taking tips. Yeah.
What happened? Okay.
One of the counselors was suggesting that our minutes hadn't been up to snuff, but I think they have.
Okay, thank you everyone for your information and research on that. I'll turn it over to you, Tess. for updates.
Okay, for
Thank
my
you.
update. Okay. So just a quick going over, I'm going over the 2026 emergency program project status that's in the agenda package. And on the left-hand side is the section and number. So if I say G21, that's under financial grants, number 21. Does anybody need any more description of that?
Nope, we've all seen this before.
Okay. So G21, the 2026 EOC grant, I still have no word on that grant. Most of the communities in the Sea to Sky Regional Group that I'm a part of do not have a lot of confidence that they'll get the grant. But we should know by the end of this month whether or not we get the grant. They're going for their full 120 days. So R1 ESS, moving forward, CFO and acting CAO Kristen Watson will be overseeing the ESS program. R3 EOC training and exercise, I have received approval to send out practice drills for the EOC staff that can be completed in 5 or 10 minutes and to be sent out with HR's monthly newsletters. The EOC staff will be able to complete these on their own at any time to become more familiar with topics such as the SharePoint or how to fill in forms more correctly. The FireSmart program is hosting some cross-training this year, an ICS in person next week, and intro
Which
to
number was that?
It's still in R3.
Oh, okay.
R3. And intro to emergency management in BC as an online course until March of next year. Both of these are required training for all EOC staff. So I've not been doing a lot of the in-person orientations, and I'm holding off until August or September when I'm planning an orientation to practice the new onboarding system and other changes to procedures that came out of the exercise in November. The island-based emergency agencies will also be invited to participate in that EOC onboarding orientation. I'm hoping that we receive some UBCM grant funding. That's another reason I'm kind of holding off on that, so that if we do get the funding, I can have some more of the tech that's in that grant in place for the orientation. Our 4 forums, exercises, workshops, etc. I attended the last Squamish Nation Emergency Planning and Response Paddle Workshop. And there will be a final event in the fall where all the cohorts will gather for an ocean paddle. I also wanted to note that, as I mentioned at the last meeting, the Squamish Nation Emergency Planning introduced a new procedure for informing them of EOC activations, etc. And I was quite honored to be the first receiver of a coordination call on that new procedure, going over what that's going to look like moving forward and what their involvement in a Bowen Island EOC would actually look like. So that was really great. R6, recurring events. The Emergency Preparedness Week. This year we had a few really amazing guest speakers and a DIY air filter workshop. Last year, most of the participants came and stayed for the whole day. This year it was a little different and we had people coming and going throughout the day. They came for one speaker and then left and didn't come back. So it was interesting, but it was really good. The guest speakers we had were really very good. We had Jonathan Eaton, Community Perspectives on Disasters, and Kesley Copes, Gerbitz, and John Innes, who Steve invited for wildfire resiliency on Bowen. And our emergency program partners forum this year will be on September 17th. If anybody on the committee wants an invitation to that, just let me know and I will make sure you're on the invite list. P4, Project 4, Alertable and Connect Rocket. So there is a new directive for the use of Alertable is being drafted by the communications coordinator and the corporate officer. It's basically narrowing down when and how Alertable will be used in the future. We used to have that for Bowen's and it didn't translate into Alertable, so we're just kind of working on that. Once the policy is implemented, there will be a public awareness campaign, and I am also adding a communications coordination group to the Connect Rocket for coordinating communications outside regular work hours.
Can I'm interested, you said there's 6,002 in one box and 6,092, but anyhow, either way, it's a big number. Is that provincially wide registered? In
No,
Alertable,
that's on Bowen. The
So we have-
6,000 is on Bowen.
What she's shown here is that there were 6,000 in March of 2026.
Oh, 6,092.
And there are
yeah.
6,092 now today, so
Okay.
that's the increase over time.
Yeah.
Of people
Yeah.
signed up, but that's our system specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's quite,
That's a lot.
that's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was asked to keep that going, so you'll see that on every
Yeah.
month's workshop, every month's spreadsheet, or every meeting's
Yeah.
spreadsheet. And also this month with Connect Rocket, I will be introducing Connect Rocket to the EOC staff at our all-staff forum in June. P7, Public Communications. I'm planning to set up tables at community events with information on topics such as evacuations on Bowen, DIY air cleaners, and cool kits for heat events. The first one would be at the fire department open house a little later this month. And I'll report back at the next meeting, and if it's worthwhile endeavor, I'll move this topic to the annual and recurring events for next year.
Test the Connect Rocket. What is the Connect Rocket?
Okay, Connect Rocket. Connect Rocket is a new tool that we have, a fairly new tool. And it's basically whereas Alertable is a public notification system, this is an internal notification system. So currently it's, we have the ESS team, the ECT team are both set up on it for any types of call outs for those groups. We're just in the process of setting up NERPs, and this month we'll be setting up the EOC team for it. But it can also be used for notifications such as, for external, such as you or anyone else, just to say we are opening an EOC for these reasons, for this reason, those kind of types of communications. So the September is the Partners Forum. I'll bring up a little bit about communications in that one, but we'll have a communications kind of focus meeting probably in October. I think I'm working with Keith on, I think it's October 22nd, and we'll have a bit of a presentation and more discussion on the communications that we have available.
Thank you.
Okay, P18, Emergency Management Plan Update. I have received an email from EMCR regarding the new local authority planning and risk assessment obligations. And they have finally added the regulation around the emergency plan and business continuity plans. Local governments are going to be required to begin working on their new plans by January 1st is when they need to start working on them. And they are still developing further guidance to support the municipalities in meeting these requirements. So while I completed the basic housekeeping on the 2020 plan, I didn't do the updates. I had just done the housekeeping, the, locations, et cetera. I won't bring it back to the committee now until I've incorporated the new requirements as they come up. I kind of had put it off a few times because they kept saying regulation was coming, so we have it now.
Congratulations.
Isn't that great? Yeah, P19, new heat alert guidance. So we've received new guidance for heat alert and response system. It's a whole new system, color coded. So I will update our initial response guideline as time permits and bring it back to the committee. N13 is the AER recommendation spreadsheet. That's the after exercise recommendation spreadsheet. As requested at the last meeting, I've added a priority column. If it says NA in the priority column, it is something that I need to work on. You'll note that some of the items have already been completed and some are dependent on grant funding. You might also note that training and orientations are a common theme and present a bit of a balancing act between the fact that most EOC staff want more training and orientations, but are equally concerned about the time commitment required to attend them. So moving forward, I'll include this spreadsheet and agendas with program status and the EPC priority sheets, and any notable updates will fall under the routine section. And that's it. Do we have any questions or anything that anybody else found on that spreadsheet that they would like an update on, further update?
So P8 is the business continuity planning. So that last reg that came out said we've got to get started on that too.
Yeah, January 1st, it has to be started. And that is a project taken on by the strategy. Sorry, I don't remember her full title. She's in the administrative department. Christina.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's mainly her project and I will support her in it. But that's it's an admin project.
I'm wondering, with the new regulations, are there big changes to the emergency management plan, or can you just, in a few words?
There's more, there's a lot more to them. Yeah. They did, let me see if I added that. I don't think I added a link to it, but let me see what I put in my notes. Yeah, these ones are not, they really put it down, but there's a lot more to the new ones.
Okay.
That's.
I think it's shifting to more prescriptive guidance rather than suggestive. I think it's really like hot off the press this week, correct?
No, it came in, this information just came in, the information that I've shared came in a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
They may have added something new in the last couple of days but I didn't get an email about it, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Tess on her
I
update?
guess my only other is under fish community plan. I was just chatting with Daniel, and as far as I can tell, everything that we had in our minutes has been covered off in the plan.
Yeah, I think Steve should be updating on that, I think.
Yeah.
That was assigned to him at the last meeting.
Yeah, fire smart considerations. Yeah, specifically. Are there other emergency considerations that should be?
No, everything else had been addressed. It was the fire smart that was of concern.
But everyone is encouraged to attend the OCP engagement event taking place on Thursday at 7 p.m. John will be there.
John will be on
Alice will be
this.
there. There'll be charcuterie.
A little food over there.
7 p.m.
But there's
cheese and crackers.
there's a survey online if you just want to do it that way. Yeah.
Well, please do the survey, everybody. Everybody out there who's watching, please do the survey.
Yes, our hundreds.
And also please come to my thing.
Followers.
By June 22nd.
All right, we'll skip on to Steve Edwards and that's final call for questions for Tess on her update. Okay, thanks for being here, Steve. You have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you all virtually. I just wanted to provide an update on what the Fire Smart program's been up to on Bowen since our last meeting. So almost 3 months into our year 2 UBCM grant funding, and our Fire Smart program continues to be small but mighty and move forward with some notable advances with our continued success in the green waste disposal bin, which is up and running and still going strong. Tess and I were able to attend this year's WRTS in Victoria, where we liaised with, I think, over 900 other people from different communities throughout BC as well as Oregon and California and discussed wildfire mitigation and what that looks like in their particular regions, and then how we can implement that back on Bowen. Still continuing to implement our 7 key disciplines, which, as you know, are our sort of foundation pieces for the Fire Smart program, with probably our greatest gains within those disciplines being the public engagement through our HIZ assessments that we're doing, as well as our presentations that we're doing to the public. Examples like that emergency preparedness event that Tess was describing at the Emergency Operations Center, and our neighborhood committee meetings that we're pretty proud of as well. So we're engaging with neighborhood groups that have formed and discussing what wildfire mitigation looks like in their neighborhoods and how we can kind of help facilitate that. Also pretty proud of the library program that I've got up and running, and our education program that we're starting to integrate into the schools here on the island, and the ongoing discussions that are happening with them around the development of the wildfire DPAs. I think Steph just touched on that briefly. It's now wording that appears in our OCP draft, and we're moving in a good direction on that front, I think. So that's pretty exciting as well. So our plan moving forward here is to continue operating within the framework of our grant funding and those 7 disciplines, with that sort of overarching goal being to identify areas that we're coming up short, and that maybe we could expand into a little bit better and broaden the program. And we're doing that by, connecting with other Fire Smart program coordinators and other communities throughout BC, and sharing information, sharing what's worked and what hasn't worked, and then trying to incorporate that into sort of Bowen specific things that we think are going to be successful. So that's sort of our plan moving forward, and that's all I have for you.
Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Steve or comments on his report? Allison?
The bin on Fire Hall number 2 is going to stay there for the summer?
It'll stay there, Allison, until our funding runs out for it. It's undersized and it's overutilized, but it's what's within our means right now through our UBCM grant funding, and to broaden the program would simply cost us money we don't have. So we'll, and in terms of how many more bins or how long it'll stay, that'll just depend on usage. But right now we're kind of averaging 1 per week sort of thing, and we're getting some pretty good feedback on that. One of the negative comments that we got from folks that I'm kind of proud of this. We took it and we spun it and we turned it into a positive, but we had the feedback from a lot of residents on the island that every time they went there, it was full. And the suspicion was that was largely due to the fact that it was getting utilized by local landscape contractors that were doing work on people's properties and dumping large volumes of green waste into the bin, which was getting this, in a lot of cases, wildfire hazard debris off the ground and pruning the branches and doing a good thing. But they were doing it at sort of our cost through the program. And then they were in effect turning around and invoicing the client for the money. Whether they were or weren't, we don't know that. So rather than, we simply don't have the means to monitor and police and, keep an eye on that bin with cameras or drones or anything else for that matter. So what we decided to do was engage with those local landscape contractors through, I'm not sure how familiar you all are with Fire Smart BC's plant program and their landscape professional program, but there is a division within the program where landscapers can take some training for free online through Fire Smart BC, become landscape professionals, landscape Fire Smart professionals with accreditation, and they can carry our message forward as they're meeting with clients. So that's kind of what we chose to do with our local landscapers here on the island, and it's been working quite well. They are now actually sort of acting as, as agents for the Fire Smart program, and in their pruning and in their yard work, they're sort of helping carry our message forward.
Oh, good. That sounds fantastic. Yeah.
That's some lemonade
spin.
right there.
Any other questions or comments for Steve? So,
Just because you mentioned comments, I just added an info item there at the very end. It's a one pager from the village of Lytton. And it's their Fire Smart one pager, because it's 5 years after their big fire, and they're still in recovery mode. Most of their buildings are still not there. And so they've tried to take an educational approach, because they have hardly any staff. They have like a couple of staff. And they're so I just thought it might be useful to you, Steve, if it's got a different point of view. It's sort of more about protecting your neighbors and your community, and completely different ecosystem and everything. But it also makes the point, focus on your house and then work out from there, which I think is in your regular stuff. But just in case there's something useful to you, well, anyway, it was a bit, they're all traumatized still. And so they've simplified it down so that people can see activities that they can relate to and could check off. Thank you.
I seem to recall years ago that we developed a Bowen specific Fire Smart resource for people, you know, given the coastal community, etc. I'm not sure if that still exists.
We still have lots of this.
We still have lots. There
But
you go.
they did, of course, the next year, they
Changed the
changed
program.
the-
Oh,
the-
that's
the-
right.
The
Yes.
program is still the same, but the wording is
zones,
different.
yes.
They've changed the names of the zones, so it's
Yeah.
still relevant. It's just, they made it really
You need a
difficult.
translation sheet to match the zones up, yes.
Well, I just thought it might be useful because it's just so clear,
Yeah.
and everything else is all kinds of diagrams and
Yeah.
colors, and this is just like a checklist almost. And they've been through it, so they're it's like these are the most important things for them in that ecosystem. So I just pass it along for what it's worth.
Thank you for sharing. That's in everyone's agenda package.
Yeah.
Under info items. Anyone else for Steve? Thanks, Steve, for the update.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
We'll move on to stakeholder roundtable verbal reports, item 6.3, starting with Brad. Anything you'd like to share?
Sort of sensitive topic, but the use of Alertable recently, I thought went very well, and I'm open for feedback on moving forward if there's any other better options of immediately notifying. Like, we don't have local radio. Alex with the Undercurrent did a good job doing an online post, but I found the Alertable was kind of the easiest and best resource to notify of a road closure. I'll word it as that, but yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because they had just kind of done the initial first draft, like the day or so before that event. And that was included that if the RCMP or asked for support with Alertable, that would be one of the particular the specified uses of Alertable. So they were very happy to see that having that in the draft form had already been a useful tool.
This is not a test.
This is not a test. Yeah, it was really good.
That's great. Good
Quick
news
question.
stories are always welcome.
How did the information get to the people who were doing Alertable? Did it come from you, or did it come from the RCMP?
So that was, information was coming from a couple of different places. We had our operations crew on the ground telling us what was going on. By law, Doug sent a phone call out to Brad, and your response back was really quick, which was really helpful for us to have that messaging from you, because we were going back and forth. Are we just gonna use social media for this? You know, us not having the information up front about what was going on, we were really undertaking an information gathering process ourselves. So we were going back and forth. Are we gonna put this out on Alertable? Or are we gonna put this out just using social media? once getting the confirmation from the RCMP that nobody was at risk, 1-lane traffic getting through, please avoid the area if possible, having that really confirmed information was really an easy decision for us to say, yeah, we've got the message, here's what we're communicating, we're gonna use alertable, let's do it.
Yeah, I found the phone calls worked really well. There's also the federal, provincial and island levels of policing. So federally, it was like, oh, we're just doing this without the realization of this is a very small community. And when they see a convoy of 15 to 20 highly enforced vehicles, that it kind of startles people and it's not an everyday thing. So yeah, our biggest thing was trying to, because it's their operation, we're just assisting by it being, you know, my community. That it was more of like a, hey, we want to put something out, but what can we? So then it was approved that it was, yeah, we can say this, because the biggest thing was putting it out that there is no danger to the public, nor was there ever, so.
Yeah, and a great opportunity to test things in a smaller, lower risk event, like it was great, and that direct communication as fast as we could get it between the two organizations, it was really helpful, and I think we managed to get the message out just in a timely fashion.
But just an observation, my experience when I was a member is didn't work like that, like the RCMP took information and held it like this and would not share it. I was in the ferry line when the vehicles came up the road, and Nicolette and I looked at each other and said, oh, there's a movie. So,
Oh, wow.
but within half an hour, I'd say, there was information out there that told everybody all the essentials, and that just never used to happen, trust me. And it was really good to see. Like, I commend you guys for getting it out there as fast as you did. It was outstanding communication, I thought.
Thank you. Excellent. Thanks. Anything else from the RCMP?
That's it.
Just good news. Perfect. Let's
Make it
continue
always like that.
trend. Who's providing the report for ESS?
Janine.
Perfect.
Yes, hi. Our Emergency Support Services Director, Carolyn McDonald, wasn't able to be here, so she's asked me to report. The most exciting news I have to share today is the size of our volunteer team, which has grown considerably over the past several years. We now have over 50 volunteers. This number represents active and auxiliary. So although auxiliary volunteers may not have regular day-to-day involvement in preparedness and planning functions, we benefit from having them on our call-out lists as valuable resources who we can leverage if needed in a large-scale event, where many trained volunteers will be required to operate a reception center and group lodging. Having said that, I can assure you that our usual standards remain unchanged for security clearances and role-specific training for the volunteers. As you may be aware, this year ESS did not receive grant funding through UBCM, a grant which typically funds our more major ESS emergency equipment purchases and supplies, but also typically allows us to deliver courses that aren't otherwise available to us in person in our community. So not to be discouraged, we took a pause and regrouped and assessed our resources and opportunities in order to move forward. We've undertaken a review of our reception center and group lodging org charts, so how we would fill the roles and shifts in a large expanded response. We took stock of which volunteers are interested in which roles, their skills and experience, and we re-examined what training our volunteers need, particularly our newer volunteers, our newer recruits. We know that we have a lot of skilled resources within our ESS organization, including a few who have voluntarily deployed to other jurisdictions, such as the Abbotsford flood and the interface fires in Kelowna. And our volunteers love sharing knowledge, information, skills, and experience. So through teamwork, we have a plan without the funding. We will be focusing on conducting cross-training exercises, hosting drills and exercises in-house, and leveraging the online training provided by JIBC but also providing peer support to any volunteer who may find studying online to be challenging. JIBC has agreed to deliver applied group lodging in January, which we're really excited about because we don't often get that training course. And we're compiling a list of a virtual list of webinars, YouTube videos created by other jurisdictions, quick reference guides, the resource library that Emergency Management BC, Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, EMCR, has made available. And we're making that more easily accessible by our volunteers so they can self-study. We were invited recently to attend that FireSmart training that Steve mentioned, which we really appreciate, to fill a couple of the empty seats. We're planning some regroups with comms to do some process sharing, and we'll be inviting some others to sessions specific to our on-scene protocols. And as always, we'll be participating in community events beside other partner groups fostering emergency preparedness in our community. Collaboration, of course, is paramount importance. Some other projects we have undergo is the Supplier Refresh project, where we have to refresh our agreements with suppliers of food, lodging, clothing, and incidentals. But we have to back off a bit during the busy tourism season of the summer because they're busy. They don't want to hear from us. And we're working on the memorandums of understandings and site surveys to refresh the files for reception centers and group lodging. And we have the ESS plan underway, being rewritten and updated. So we're very excited about the activities and training we have planned for the coming months, and we look forward to providing another update to you in the near future.
Thank you, Janine. I can speak for all of us when I say thanks for your team's ability to pivot in the face of that grant funding not coming through. Great to hear that you had some good ideas for still keeping folks engaged and trained despite that lack of funding. Yeah, Allison.
We had a Bowen Island Municipality volunteer event last week, and I'm very pleased to announce to everybody that Carolyn McDonald was presented with an award for her long years of service as the ESS coordinator.
Yeah, excellent. Pass on our congratulations to Carolyn as well.
Yes, thank you. I will.
Next time. Any other questions or comments for Janine on ESS? Okay, thank you so much for the report, but also all that you do to support the team on the island. It's appreciated.
Thank you.
Keith, for any updates from the emergency communications team?
Just a few. We continue to have our regular twice a month tests with North Shore Emergency Management and the provincial EOC. So those we do those regularly. We're working on a couple of mobile suitcases of radios that we could deploy in the case of something happening to fire hole number 1, or even if they're just required to take to a reception center or an evacuation. So we're building those. We've met with NERPS, and we're going to meet with ESS later this week on their options for communications, both within their own groups and also how they could communicate back to the EOC in the case of cell phones being down, internet being down, or whatever. And on that subject as well, internally, we've defined our call out mechanism in the case that Connect Rocket were to go down and not be available. We're the ones with the amateur radio, so we should be able to talk to each other and tell each other, once you've dealt with your own emergency, can you come into the EMC and help out there? And then in October, PES is arranging a communications roundtable with all the groups, and at that we want to discuss interoperability with the RCMP, with the ambulance, with fire, in the case of other communication systems having gone down.
Excellent. Super. Yeah, lots of initiatives there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions, comments for Keith? on emergency communications. Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
Gail, over to you. Nothing to report. It's all going swimmingly down there.
No news is good news.
Yes. Good. Any questions for Gail?
What is
She
the
says
report?
nothing to report. Does that mean there haven't been any calls?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's all confidential, so there you go.
Hey, I don't know if you can get this information.
Mm.
Sorry.
Camera's
Can
wrong.
we see, I know. Can we see the call volume change year over year? I'm particularly curious to see the impact, if any, that the health center's having on the lower acuity calls. I know we've looked at that data in the past. How easy or difficult is it to get?
We could, yeah, that they can.
Wearing a
they
few
can-
hats
they
right
can-
now,
They can pull
so.
that, yeah,
Okay,
they can pull that.
I'm gonna chat with you offline about
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if there's.
it
been
doesn't
an
reduce
impact.
them. I know that.
Maybe change the type.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Nice try.
I got what I wanted. Edward, anything to report?
Yeah,
Update
we
from the
had
nurse?
a, NERP had a, I hope you people were there. I thought it was a very successful get together.
Yeah.
We filled the fire hall, the EOC meeting room. We had one chair left. All our panelists had to stand or sit in the high chairs. I think it went very well. We got lots of good feedback. Do you folks have anything to comment on? Nope.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this time we opened it to the public. I think that expanded the awareness. We had a tabletop exercise. It was quite interesting. It was a lot of fun, and I think people learned a lot. So we're going to do it again. We've just begun reposting, or the beginning of reposting in the kiosks. So we're going to have the common message across all kiosks, and we hope to have that done by August 1st. So, yeah.
Great. So common like resources across.
Well, no, it's, emergency information and, like grab and go content. So in these particular kiosks, there's that kind of information. Household supplies.
And you're just standardizing it across the
Yes,
kiosks?
yes.
Okay, great.
And adding maps.
And adding maps.
Yeah, you adding the map, so you
Mhm.
know, yeah.
Yes.
So the evacuation map, zone maps from
That
each-
area.
each-
Yeah,
for
that
each
makes
area.
sense. Good idea. Any questions, comments for Edward regarding the NERPs? Okay, last but not least, Aaron?
All right, yeah, quick update on what we've been working on. So since our last meeting, we've responded to 41 callouts, which compared to the same period last year was 43, so very, very consistent. But much of our training this spring has been focused on the water delivery operations in areas without fire hydrants. As a result of that work, we have achieved Superior Tanker Shuttle Service Accreditation, or SSTS, through the Fire Underwriter Survey. This is a nationally recognized accreditation program used by the insurance industry to evaluate a fire department's ability to provide an effective firefighting water supply in areas that are not served by hydrants.
So that helps with people's insurance coverage.
Yes, so to achieve this, a fire department must successfully demonstrate through formal testing that it can establish and sustain firefighting water flows comparable to those expected in hydranted areas. This includes having suitable apparatus, trained personnel, approved water sources, and the ability to deliver large volumes of water quickly and reliably. This achievement is pretty significant. It validates our operational capability, training program, apparatus fleet, and the dedication of our volunteer firefighters. It confirms that we can effectively move and deliver firefighting water in areas where hydrants are not available. I think perhaps most importantly for residents, the SSTS accreditation can improve the fire protection grading used by insurance companies. While the Fire Underwriters Survey does not set insurance rates, insurers across Canada use these ratings when assessing risk, and accredited communities may qualify for insurance treatments similar to communities fully served by fire hydrants. So for many Bowen Island property owners, particularly those located beyond the reach of hydrants, This accreditation may improve the fire protection classification applied by insurers and could potentially result in more favorable insurance rates or coverage options. This accomplishment reflects many years of planning and effort. In fact, obtaining this accreditation was first discussed within our department more than 15 years ago. At that time, our apparatus and equipment did not meet the required standards. But through continued investment by the municipality, the dedication of our volunteer firefighters, and ongoing improvements to training, equipment, and operational procedures, we have now reached the point where this accreditation has become achievable. So.
Very good.
So you've actually got the accreditation?
We have the accreditation, we have received the certificates.
So we should
Wow.
tell Sarah, put something in
That
the
is my
news from
plan,
Bowen.
my plan for this week. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
be putting out a big press release and sharing this with the insurance agencies and, yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah.
Fire Hall Open House is next.
That is on the 20th,
20.
June 20th.
Can we make them available on our website so people could get that resource to share with you?
Yes, I actually looked at what Gabriola did for theirs, and it's great. They have a dedicated webpage where people can go download the information, share it with their insurance companies.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's individual insurance company to decide what it is,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
we've seen, in other communities, very favorable results.
Okay.
Awesome.
It seems like the sort of thing that it would be helpful to let people know that they should confirm with whatever insurer they have, that they are using the correct, because I totally see an insurance company just using whatever they used last year kind of thing, and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
confirming that they've updated their information.
Yeah.
So that accreditation is,
Yes, this covers the entire island, both fire halls.
okay.
Right on.
Does it help for those of us that are already on hydrant systems? Does it?
Unlikely it would make any difference to
Yeah.
somebody with hydrant.
Folks with the hydrant, they might want to confirm with their fire department, or with their insurers, that the relatively new location of the fire station has been noticed by their insurance company, because I know some people said, oh, I didn't get any rate, but other people say, oh, my rate went way down. So that's another thing you may put on the bottom of a notice, is just make sure they know that the location of the main fire station has changed.
Put that on the bulletin board for the 20.
Yeah.
Anyway, just ideas, but I think that's fantastic. Very good.
Other questions or comments for the fire chief? Okay, new business, Allison, Councilor Morse, sorry.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the evacuation plan. So I don't know how that got there.
That was me.
I
You're
didn't
welcome.
Send it there. So this is a question that occurred to me, and Gail actually helped me when I mentioned it to her. We had that big blowdown and all those trees across Adams Road, or Grafton, which was it? Grafton, I think. And we couldn't get to the cove. So that then raised the question in my mind, well, what happens if there's somebody with a heart attack out in Blue Water and the ambulance is coming from the cove? And so Gail mentioned that you would walk across the trees, taking what, you've got a little emergency vehicle, the fire hall number 2, take that and then actually transport the person to that, and then walk through the trees and then put them in the ambulance on the other side.
There are a
No,
variety of other options.
That's what I
as
thought you
well.
told me you
No,
would do.
that is an option, but it's,
Yeah.
it depends. The other option
Yeah.
too is,
The
the
heliport.
helicopter.
Yeah.
The helicopter lands on that side, on the golf course or whatever, and then that would require that the crew get transported by whatever,
Yeah.
fire, and then they would probably use the side by side to go back to the helicopter. And if it's really, the weather's really awful and the helicopter can't fly, they're pretty good in most conditions. The hovercraft could come into Tunstall Bay too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great. Sometimes that's not the greatest boat ramp, but that thing can go just about any weather.
You also have first responders on that side of the island. We don't know where all our volunteer firefighters are at any
Well, that
given
was gonna
time.
be my
That's just
next
it.
But
question.
Fire Hall
Yeah.
2 has a rescue vehicle, which has an
Yeah.
AED, and so presumably, like any heart attack, they would get there.
We stored some of our stash of portable stretchers in that fire hall as well.
Yeah.
So we're just
Yeah,
after
so-
that
so
blowdown,
that
we got the weather.
Sue Ellen?
Just to let people know that Carla Scoos is the Parks Planner and Environment. She's got a project going to upgrade the Tunstall Bay Boat Launch. And so we'll see where that goes, but she's got some funding and that came on, you can check it out on the council agenda from, I think, not this week, but
25th.
the previous council meeting, yeah.
At one point, the parks were, I don't know if they're still doing it, because it, as personnel changes, sometimes the things fall off the list of things to do, and the parks were just sort of keeping an eye on the Snug Cove area where the hovercraft could go in, so I guess Tunstall Bay would, for logs and things like that, because that's the
Metro
sort of thing that just to move out driftwood, that's
Yeah.
really significant. But other than that, the hovercraft can go just about need be.
And I guess the other issue is if somebody had, an appointment for surgery or, a flight to catch or whatever, I guess they're out of luck. I mean, there's just no way to actually.
If it's really closed and lines are still down and hydro's there, but I mean.
You could charter a water taxi
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
Tunstall Bay if you really privately wanted to get off the island.
Yeah.
The reason the evacuation plan was included, Allison, is because it speaks to what happens when parts of the island are cut off from other
Okay.
parts.
Okay.
And so while we're not talking about a community evacuation, the same principles apply when we talk about alternate modes of transportation. So that's why I included the evacuation
But I was
plan.
more concerned
we're-
about the emergency people and the fire
Yeah.
department and, because there's 2 fire calls, that's one thing, but, and then other people are just, maybe out of luck and then the other, of course, is the issue of the people that were driving under the tree with the wires.
I was gonna say, driving under the tree and over the power lines is not
Yes.
the recommended answer
So,
that they
yeah.
did multiple times.
I think whatever,
Job security.
we as a community can do to mitigate the chance of trees falling on the road in a storm is
Yeah.
where we
The
can
best thing.
continue to focus our efforts. But there's, at a certain point, there's only so much you can kind of pre-plan for. Did you want, yes, sorry, go ahead.
Just so people know that nowadays the municipality has a site alteration bylaw. So before development happens and big land clearing and bulldozers moving around, they need to come through municipal staff. And I'm not sure that trees that may fall over the road is a specific thing in there, but at least there's now there needs to be a step where they come to municipal staff first. So that might be something
So
to
that
look at.
reminds me, because I did go and look at that site alteration bylaw. And there's nothing in there that talks about, because this was wind throw from the gust coming through that clear cut above that caused everything to go down. So that may need to be relooked at, when they're doing site alteration, looking at the impacts of strong winds and what the tree removal would cause.
So when that bylaw is next updated, if this committee can remember, or if we want to send any kind of recommendation to council that be considered, or I don't know, I don't know that anybody's pinned anything specific to that, but maybe there's some kind of emergency planning consideration that needs to go into the site alteration bylaw next time it comes up.
Allison, did you have something in mind when you put this on the agenda?
Well, it was partly just, I wanted to, how are we gonna deal with emergencies, especially health related ones? And then the other was just people, if there was or if people had to get out or other areas, or if you had to access, are there some roads that you could use to get through? And the only one I can think of is, and it's probably not usable, is past Apodaca Park and through the ecological reserve, but that's a trail that's not usable for any sort of emergency. And I mean, the same thing applies if something came down across Eagle Cliff Road or out for Hood Point area and that sort of thing.
It's definitely a risk we run with all these one-way in and out access roads.
But the OCP, and has for years, said there won't be a ring road around the island, so.
any further discussion on this or further action that needs to be taken by this committee? Gonna move us along to 7.2 other business. There was none. Okay, action items, over to you, Steph.
Do we have any? There were none today. Does anybody remember?
Vance.
No, I didn't hear any action items.
Oh, this has been the best meeting ever. But just a quick review of last meeting. Steve and Jen, we're gonna look at the OCP update to see if it had fire smart principles in it.
Good meeting schedule.
Meeting is scheduled. Excellent. Add a column to the recommendations spreadsheet.
And
For priorities,
I've looked and
done.
I think they're there, so.
Pardon?
I've also looked at it. I think they're fire smart.
Oh, thank you.
Things are
Great.
dealt with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. After exercise report is included in your regular report and reach out to the integrated partnership for regional emergency management. Done.
Go.
That's it.
Okay. Do adjourn.
Yeah.
Sounds
We're intentionally leaving our next meeting as TBD. We'll wait until there is something that necessitates meeting. And you'll hear from us when that occurs.
Thank you so much for coming, all of you.
And for all your work.
Thank you. I'm gonna get us off all the things.
And apologies for being late.
Bye, Janine. Thank you so much.